I'd do a recording to see if maybe this would be helpful to go over the contract with you. And then if you have any other questions, you can feel free to let me know. So this is the 1 to 4 residential contract, and it's between you and the buyer, Montana Frey. And that's for parties for 1. Under 2, it is the legal description, which is the lot 22, block 4. And all this is pulled from the Bexar County website. It's in Redland Oaks, under the Green Spring V. It's in San Antonio, Bexar County, and the actual address is 16415 Old Stable Road. It talks about improvements in the house, garage, fixtures, appliances, HVAC, lights, water softener, everything stays with the home. It talks about the keys, remotes, curtains, rods, all of that also stays with the home. I'm showing that there are no exclusions. Everything in the property will be transferred to the buyer. Next, we're showing the sales price. This is the cash portion. It is a VA loan. So they are putting 0 down. So they're doing a third-party financing addendum, which shows that they're doing the VA loan. And we can go over that after. The purchase price is $410,000, and they are doing a loan for $410,000. There are no leases that are connected to this contract. Next, we have the earnest money that has to be turned over within 3 days of the effective date or the execution date. They're pretty much the same. Once everybody signs, then it's executed. And that will go to Brooklyn, and she's at University Title. They're going to give $4,000 of earnest money and $100 towards the option. There's going to be no additional earnest money turned over. The $100 for the option is for 7 days, which is an unrestricted right for the buyer to back out. They're going to do their inspections during this time and get back to us with any repair requests that they have. We have 7 days, and 5 o'clock is the termination on that. So if you were to sign today, the first day would be tomorrow. So Monday at 5 would be our timeline. I'm kind of hoping that we can get this tied up before the end of the weekend. But we'll see what they come back with for repair requests. I'm not too concerned, but I guess we'll find out once the inspection's done and gotten back to us. Next, we have, it talks about them delivering earnest and option, and that basically they are out of contract if it's not done within the timeline. Next, we have the title and survey. It says that the seller is to furnish the buyer at the seller's cost for the title policy with University Title. The cost of this was in the net sheet that I provided. It also says that if there's any shortages on the survey, that it will be amended to read the shortages in an area at the expense of the seller. We very rarely run into this. It's more on much older properties or if there's easements and whatnot going through the property. The title commitment will be delivered to the buyer within 20 days after receiving the executed contract. If for some reason they don't have it by that time, the delivery date is automatically extended up to 15 days or 3 days before closing. If this is not fulfilled, then the buyer can terminate and receive their earnest money back. Next, we have the survey. The buyer has agreed to accept your current survey as well as the T47 affidavit or declaration. They go together. They've agreed to receive that within 21 days after the executed contract. If they do not receive it, you would be paying for a new survey. Next, we have objections. The main objection is that it's for residential use. They have 3 days after receiving the documents and examining of the survey, the HOA docs, whatnot, to make any objections that they may have. Next, we have different title notices. Abstract for title policy says that you're in the HOA, Homeowners Association. It says that you are. There'll be additional amendment that goes with that. Statutory tax district, you're not in. Tidewaters, annexations, property located. None of these pertain to your property. This is a general contract that's used throughout the entire state of Texas. And that's why this stuff is in here. Certificate of mold remediation, we don't have any of that. Or any other required notices, we don't have any to have to file. In 7, it says that the buyer can access the property and that you need to keep the utilities on the property until we close. This next one is the seller's disclosure notice. They did receive your seller's disclosure notice. That is what they marked. I have it back initialed and signed. It does talk about a lead-based paint disclosure. We do not need that because of the age of the home. Next, it says that the property is as is and that the buyer is accepting it as is. Then we have lender repairs. If the lender requires repairs of 5% of the price, the buyer can terminate. I don't see that happening. The home should be good, and I can't think of any possible requirements that the lender would offer or ask for, even being a VA on this home. Completion, that you agree to do any of the repairs before closing and that you'll use a licensed contractor. Environmental matters, the buyer is advised to check for any environmental issues. Residential service contract, it says that the seller agrees to reimburse him $750 for the home warranty. Next, we have broker and sales agents. I have added in Evans Home Solutions since we do have an invested interest in this property. It will show up on your contract. You'll see it say Evans Home Solutions. Closing day is to be on or before September 17th. Possession is upon closing and funding. There are no special provisions. In settlement and other expenses, it says that we are paying the buyer's agent a 3% commission and that the seller is offering a $10,000 to be applied for their expenses, closing costs, to help them. And it says down here what they can use those $10,000 for. Different origination fees and credit reports and preparation. And on average, the buyer's fees are approximately up to 3%. So that will help them get into the home with no money down. 13, prorations. Taxes, interest, HOA dues are prorated through the closing date. So you'll pay your share up until September 17th. Casualty and losses is a standard clause. It says that if the home is damaged before closing, you must repair it or the buyer can terminate or accept the insurance proceeds. Default is another standard clause. It says that if the buyer defaults, you can keep the earnest money or sue. Mediation is another standard clause, and it says that you, the seller, must try to mediate before suing. Attorney fees is another standard clause, as effective on the seller, and that the winning party in the dispute can recover legal fees. Escrow is another standard clause, and the escrow agent holds the earnest and option fees. Refund or release is required compliance with this. So basically we have to, if they opt out during our option period and they no longer want to proceed forward, we have to agree to sign the cancellation documents and refund the earnest money. Representation is another standard clause. The statement must be true at closing, and we can still accept backup offers. The federal requirements only matters if you're a foreign seller, which we're not. Notices, this will have your phone number and your email. This helps the title company to be able to communicate with everybody. The agreement of the parties, there's a third-party financing addendum and an addendum for the HOA that is attached to this. If either party has an attorney, this would be in here. And then we have an execution date, which is for today, and then you would just sign. Next, I'll go over the addendums that are attached to the contract. The first one is the third-party financing addendum. It has the property address, and then we'll come down here and we'll see that they marked the VA guaranteed loan. It is not less than $410,000, and this does exclude their funding fee, the VA funding fee. It is amortized over 30 years with an interest rate of 6.75 for the first 30 years, with the origination charges as shown to the buyer for not to exceed 1%. The buyer has 21 days to get final approval from the lender. Once they've passed the 21 days, if for some reason they don't qualify for the loan anymore, they would not receive their earnest money back. The VA states that the home has to appraise for $410,000 to do the loan at that amount. And if we do not meet the $410,000 value, it would give the buyers the option to back out of the contract, or we can renegotiate. And then all parties would sign. Next, we have that's the same document, my apologies. The addendum for an HOA. And it has the property address, the name of the HOA, and it says that you will furnish documents to the buyer within 21 days of the effective date of the contract. Down here it says that the buyer will pay up to $150 for the transfer of the property and the associated docs. Anything over that would be put on you, the seller, and these numbers were taken into account on the net sheet that I provided. And it also says that the seller shall pay the title company the cost to obtain the documents prior to ordering them. This is when the title company will contact the HOA, find out how much it is, and they will put together the order and email you the email with the information for you to make payment for those documents. And then you would just sign. And the last document that I sent was the T47 Residential Real Property Declaration in lieu of an affidavit. And this has today's date, your name, the property legal description, and the county. I will add in the survey date once I receive the survey. This is the date that the survey was completed. This is to the title company, ensuring that the information that you are providing is accurate. You are the owner of the property, and you're familiar with the property improvements located at the property, that you're closing a transaction requiring the title insurance, the purpose, insured owner or lender, as requested area and boundary coverage of the title insurance policy to be issued in this transaction. and you're saying that all the information that you're giving is accurate. To the best of your knowledge, construction projects, new structures, buildings, rooms, garage, changes to the location of the boundaries, fences or boundary walls, construction projects that occurred on the property that would affect the survey, or conveyances, replots, easements, or grants. And there were none. There were no changes made to this property since the survey was given, and that this is truthful statement, and you understand that there's no liability on the title company if the information in the declaration is incorrect, and all statements that you say are true and accurate. Your birth date will show up, as well as your mailing address in the DocuSign, and it says that you are signing and dating this on August 18th, and then you will just sign. And that is all of these documents. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope this is helpful. Thanks. Bye-bye.